Hi, I'm Donna Kiker from University of Nebraska Extension 4-H Assistant, and we are going to work on Crayon Creations today. So everybody should have gotten a kit, and in that kit is a lot of things for the Crayon Creations. In it you have crayons, a box of, I believe, 16. You have art sandpaper. You have some coloring pages. You have some parchment paper and some just art paper. You have a drawstring bag inside there, a plain one. You have a pencil sharpener, or it's going to be used for crayons. A pencil, a canvas board, which I don't have right here, but a canvas board, a divided paper plate, and then you have some things from home that you'll have to use, and that is an ironing board and an iron. Cookie cutters is optional, and of course you need adult supervision when you're using the iron and ironing board, and some table covering. So basically for the table covering, what we need it for, it can be a newspaper, it can be plastic table covering, it can be a trash bag, something so when we're coloring in, the little pieces of crayon come off on your, they're not on your table, and you can clean up. The project we're going to start with today is the sandpaper transfers, and it would be very hard to color on a t-shirt, but we can color on sandpaper, and that kind of makes a transfer or an iron-on for our design. So in your kit you have 2 big sheets of sandpaper, and you could also buy in a store little squares, or you can buy those big sheets. Sandpaper comes by grit, so the higher the number of the grit, like 220 is really fine, 80 is really rough, this is 150, so it's kind of in between. So the rougher it is, the more texture your picture is going to have. The more crayon your picture is going to hold. But you'll see the little bumps where the sand was when you iron it on. So the more texture it's going to have. So when we're picking out a design to color, we want to, you can either just draw a picture of however you would like with crayons. You can draw with a pencil first. If you don't feel like you can draw a picture that you'll like, one of the things is we can use a coloring page, and we could cut out our butterfly, for example, here. Just cut around the outside edge. It doesn't have to be perfect So if we kind of get an outline of it, then I'll show you how you can get some more details. I'm just going to cut its antennas off, because that's a detail. We'll work on that when we get it down here. Okay, I am just going to use a plain piece of paper to show you this, because I don't want to waste my sandpaper. So for example, here's my butterfly pattern. I'm going to lay it down here. I'm going to trace around it. Okay. So as you see, this actual picture has these extra lines. It has all kinds of designs in it. First of all, the butterfly is going to be just as pretty, or just as attractive, without the little lines there, or you can color them in. But I want his middle to look just like this one. So I'm going to cut his wings off. And I'm going to lay this back on here so that I can get these little details in there, okay? If I don't think I can draw that line, I can cut his bottom off, put him back on here, get this line, and then I can cut off the very bottom of his body. And trace that. So as you see, I put him all back together again. Then it would look kind of like that. So that is what I did on my frog. I outlined him. And then I wanted this part to look just like this through his middle. So I cut out just that part and laid it back down and traced around that. Okay, and then you can color it. And if you remember, I said that as we color, the crayon is going to stick in here. We're also going to have little flecks that fall off because the sandpaper is rough. If you do that, tap it on your paper. Don't try to rub it off with your hands because that's going to smear it into here, to your outside areas. And when we go to iron it on, you'll have a color where you don't want color. So try to just tap it off when you have some flakes fall over there. So large pictures are better with smaller detail. And like on the butterfly, you could add your own dots. You could do your own designs like that. That could be your creativity. Don't use words because that's a mirrored image. When I iron it onto the transfer, it's going to be backwards. Unless you're looking at yourself in a mirror, then it'll be right again. So kind of try to avoid words. When we're coloring, the tips on your crayons are going to go away fast because this is rough, and so it's taken off a lot of crayon. So you can do whatever you want to make your picture yours personally, okay? Now is the part where you need adult supervision, and in order to do that, it is to iron on your transfer. So you guys, what you're going to get to make your project with is you're going to have a bag in yours. And I have just enough bags for our kids, so I'm going to use a t-shirt to show you today. But we want to turn that bag right side out. Okay? And if I was ironing it on the bag, I would decide where the front of my bag is. So this, towards me, I want it to be the front. I make sure the crayon goes to the front and put it in there. And then we're going to iron it. I want to see if it's centered and make sure it's where I want it. And then I'm going to iron it down. So instead of using a bag, I said I'm going to use a t-shirt for you today. You got a couple pieces of parchment paper in your kit. Here's an example of one of these little squares of sandpaper I got, and I just freehand drew those hearts and I ironed it on there. So when I talk about the texture, you kind of see what I mean about the texture from the sandpaper. Okay, so same way with my t-shirt, I'm going to want to turn it right side out. Pretty side to the, no, I want to turn it wrong side out. I want pretty side to the inside. So I want to see the label, okay? So it's kind of wrinkled. So I might want to touch it up with my iron a little bit before we start. You're going to want to iron the big wrinkles out of your shirt. Like so. And the reason we have the parchment paper is so that the color doesn't get on our ironing board. Okay, you kind of got to imagine, and it doesn't slide real easy because that sandpaper's rough. So if we're doing a t-shirt, kind of picture where you want that frog to start on your shirt. I think we're going to be okay if I can pull this up to the back. Okay, try and kind of see my design underneath. Okay. We're going to take another piece of parchment paper and lay it on top. And when I tell you to, I'm going to tell you to press. So I mean to push down. You kind of got to give it time to get hot and melted through. But I'm going to pick it up and put it to the next spot. And this is going to take a little bit of time to get a good picture. Otherwise we won't get all the color to come off. We won't get all the shape. If you were paying attention, I missed this bottom corner. And that's why it's a good thing to go over it several times. We don't want to hold it somewhere for a long, long time. We don't want to melt or burn our t-shirt. It will burn. Parchment paper is helping that, so it don't happen. If I do slide it, I want to do it really slow. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to turn my t-shirt right side out. We have this nice little frog on the back of our shirt. Okay, so I'm going to put my parchment paper over it again and iron it again. And this is to help the color sit in, or to soak down in the t-shirt itself. And then when I'm all done, I'm going to put it in a clothes dryer for 30 minutes on high heat. Once again, to help the color set. This kind of gets the extra color off of it. If there's too much that's not soaking in as well. And there we go. The next project we're going to do with crayons is scratch art. So in your kit you have some art paper, and you have a wooden stick of some kind, crayons, and you're going to have a little keychain kit that you can make a scratch art out of. And it's a boughten kit, and you can play with that when you're done making your own. So what we do is basically, you guys have all seen these, I'm sure, but this is a way to make your own. You start by coloring, making different layers of color. Start with lighter colors first. And like I made a smaller piece of paper, I'm not going to fill it clear in. I'm not going to take the time to do that. You can make different layer colors beside each other. And then you can start doubling up. And color over the top of that. I can do as few or as many colors as I want. But my last color I end up with is going to be black. And I have found if you push pretty hard on this, go over it and maybe keep coming back over it, like let it rest just a little bit and then come back over it. Change directions. You're trying to make it as black as you can make it. And then when you're all done, you can scratch whatever design you want out of that. If I want to make a heart, I can scratch it off the top. Actually, this color worked a little better for me. You can try different sizes of sticks. You can just go outside and find a stick to try scratching it off. It's got some of the scratch tickets that you use, or things you scratch off, like winning cards that you can use a penny. You could use a penny or a coin to scratch off that top layer. And you can do whatever design you want to do, whatever piece of art you want to do. You can make little note cards and put pictures on them. The black scratching off and I'm getting purple. Or the black scratching off and I get red. You can do whatever you want to make.
Hi, I'm Bailey Springer. I work here at the Redville County 4-H office here in McCook. I am a 4-H alumni, and today I'm going to be talking to you about crayon sun melting. So you'll need a pack of crayons, you'll need a pencil sharpener, a divided plate, and a blank canvas. Okay, so I chose a color blue today, so you're going to unwrap the paper on the crayon, and then you're going to stick your crayon in the pencil sharpener and turn it, and it will start shredding the crayon. You can kind of see that. So then I have a little open thing, and I'll dump it out into here. It's easy. You can kind of see my crayons are getting mixed, but a divided plate helps keep it separated. And then you can do anything. You could use a crayon and make like a circle, and then take like a pinch of different colors and put on here like this. You might want to change up the color and go with some yellow. Try not to get it too thick because it won't melt in the sun very well, so kind of try to spread it out like that. And then if you have a missing pieces you don't want on there, you can just scrape them off. I'm just going to make a random collage and just kind of sprinkle my crayons across here like this. Add some blue. Let's see, I might want some red. And you can also use cookie cutters and fill it in with cookie cutters. You could print pictures off on the internet and cut them off if you want to, if you have access. So you'll also want to do this on a sunny day. You don't want the wind to really be blowing. It's got to be hot so the crayons will melt. As you can see, I have already done one and taken it outside and melted my tractor and my butterfly and a heart. And then what I did is I took a crayon and I colored in my wheels black, and then I went around my tractor and highlighted the green. I have not taken it outside yet to see if it will melt, as it's been too windy, but I'm sure it'll work. Also, you'll need to probably leave this outside for an hour, especially if it's hot out, it'll help. Check it every 15 minutes or so to make sure it's working, and you can see it melt and how the shavings are still attach that art melt. It's kind of a cool way. And then it'll just look like this, and then bring it inside and let it dry. Don't touch it yet because it will smear. Otherwise, that's sun melted art, and have fun.